Hello, my divine kings and queens. I'm back to do another video. In today's message, what I'm going to be going over is explaining to you all how you can heal your trauma bonds and triggers and wounds, right? And a little backstory for those of you who are new. I went through a lot of abuse early on in my childhood. Just seeing things, exposed to things that I should not have been exposed to. It was a lot of toxicity that I was exposed to, things of how I seen how my mother was treated. A part of that, there was love there. I want to say that there was definitely love, because otherwise, my life could have ended up different, if my mom wasn't as stern as she was. So I know behind that tough love that she gave, she cared for me in her own way, and my dad too. But me and her, she wasn't able to really show me the kind of love that I really wanted. I wanted to have, things that I saw how my other friends, how their families were, I would come home and I'll just be like, well, why my family isn't like that, And so I told you guys that when I got taken to foster care, it was just a real tough period that I went through in my life. In that moment, my mom had a lot of pressure on her, my dad too. And I thank God for the fighting spirit that my mom had to fight for me, because I would have been lost in the system. And that's one of the things that confused me. Even though I didn't get the love that I wanted, I was still shown things that let me know that they cared for me and that they loved me. And so a part of this phase, what I'm telling you, and being able to heal from it, is addressing it. You can't be in denial about it, what you went through. You can't sugarcoat it. You got to hit it dead on. And sometimes in facing that, you have to be alone. And so when I was faced and asking myself why I kept keeping toxic people in my life that was destroying me, that were treating me like a dog, why I kept going back, why I kept trying to have sympathy for these people, and it's because of situations I went early throughout my childhood, just staying around family. When family would say stupid stuff or try to joke me and stuff like that, I would never stick up for myself. I'll keep going around. I just never addressed certain things that probably came out their mouth or things that I heard. I just kept it all on the inside. And I would go in and out. One minute I'll say, okay, well, I want to be around, or I'll go around, and then I'll back up completely. Just nobody will be able to reach me. And it's because I was really hurt that if you're supposed to be my family and you know what I went through, that what I went through wasn't easy. Like no one else in my family went through foster care. Like I was in foster care for a minute before my grandma was able to get me. And that's why I'm so close to my grandma. And so how I was able to heal from that, I had to address it, I tell you guys that when I first got there, the lady was disrespecting me. She was telling me I wasn't going to be nothing, that my mom wasn't nothing for having me here. I was embarrassed to go to school because my mom, even though I didn't have all this kind of money, she made sure my hair was slicked back or something. And when I was going to school, like, this lady was just sending me there just with two big braids. She wasn't trying to gel it. She wasn't trying to do anything. She sent me to school any kind of way with these big stuff, clothes that didn't even fit me. And she said, well, it's because, well, your mama don't, clothes. I guess she think that she gonna get you out or whatever. And I told you what really messed me up was the sexual abuse that I encountered there, at the hands of one of her sons, her eldest son. And it started off where he was just trying to build trust with me at first. And so he'll do things like he'll let me sit in the front seat if we went somewhere. I recognize now I was in the city area. Back then I didn't know where I was. And he'll let me he'll sit in the seat, or he'll just do certain things for me like, oh no, she gonna get it, you not getting that or whatever. And it would cause these other girls to beat me up. Mind you, my mama didn't teach me or raise me up to be nothing like that. So these girls were double teaming up on me and beating me up and all kind of stuff. And one day he caught it, and she was trying to shove a toy in my ear or something like that she was trying to do. And he came in and got her. I don't know what he did to them, but I never had to worry about them again. And then the next step, it started off with, him touching me and doing things. He'll come in the middle of the night. He'll make sure I have my own room. But I realize now why he was trying to do that. And one thing about it, why I said I had to release it, I'm like, there's no way that lady didn't know. It's like she didn't care. And it's like all we were was just a check to her. And when I tried to tell social services, I was like, get me out of here, please. And she'll go and lie and say that I was lying and stuff. And I remember calling my mom one day, trying to cry out to her to tell her to come get me. And I couldn't get through. I realized now she was they probably blocked the number or whatever. I was faced with having to go through and face all this stuff that really started at a young age for me early on when I was a child. And the only thing I remember that made that worthwhile, I was able to get through. I had good people that I knew that went to school with me. They found out what was happening. And even those who probably didn't always talk to me or bullied me, they didn't do it. They felt bad for me. They felt really bad for me how I was coming to school and stuff. I didn't want to come to school looking like that. And I remember in particular, there was one girl that went to my school. She invited me to one of her birthday parties. And at the time, they had released me to my grandmother. When I got out, I just wanted to be done with it. So a part of it, like I'm saying, I swept it under the rug, right? I didn't tell nobody. The doctors, remember the doctor coming in after she checked me, she was telling me, what was going on. And I just remember just begging her not to say anything. I told her I'm happy that I got out. I remember begging her. And so I didn't want to talk about it. I didn't want to face it. No one ever knew until probably in a couple years, in the recent years. I think I told my mom, it was definitely before I graduated college. And it was at that time I had miscarried. And so she knew what was going on because that's when I was dating an ex of mine. And I was living in with him, and then my dad had to come and give me pills. She was like, you was bleeding so heavy and all this other stuff. That's when you had your... And I told her, and I came open about the other stuff. And so me and her had a heart-to-heart with that. But getting back to what I was saying, my grandmother had ended up taking me to the girls' birthday party. They came and they took us from school. And then we went there, and I saw how big her house was, and all her brothers came down. Her mother and everybody made everybody come down and, speak to me. And so for that one-on-one time before all her other friends came, we played foosball. She showed me her room. And it was so funny. Her mom cooked fried chicken. and it was some good fried chicken. They were Indian. They were Indian, but it was some real good like fried chicken that they cook. And my grandma grabbed herself, so she was just like, "Oh my God, them people know how to cook fried chicken. Would they know some black people?" And I said, my grandma, she'll say things right then, and like she don't hide it. So my grandma was good. She was talking to the mother, and then I was going around and playing and everything. And when her friends came, she wanted to spend time with her actual friends that she knew and was spending time with every day on a daily basis. But I get why she invited me there. She was trying to be nice to me and everything like that. And I just remember, like, I wasn't feeling any hate or anything like that. I remember feeling just so grateful that she invited me to come here and do that with her. Because everyone saw and they knew my situation. So when I say that to say, when I was thinking about, these different things that I went through in my life, and how it took an effect on me, and just how I was treated in these relationships, things I took off of family saying about me that they think I don't know. It just really hurt me that other people outside of them have to come and tell me, like, your family been talking this about you for years, or they'll be very detailed in the things that they were saying because some of them were in the house. That's the thing. It's like when they talk around other people, they don't know who they talking around, and then they think that everybody condone what they saying about a person. And then people catch me in the street and they tell me, like, why your people, do they hate you or something, this and that? I'm like, what were they saying? And these people, like I said, nobody have a reason to come and tell me nothing or make up some mess like that. You get what I'm saying? And it was all in the time that I was going through phases too. But I just felt like if you family, instead of adding your 2 cents in, you should have been trying to pray more instead of trying to judge and talk about somebody behind their back. And all of this just factored into things I went through with my mother. And when she'll come, she'll just sit me on her lap and she'll cry about the things she was struggling with, and she'll be like, "Do you forgive me?" And I always tell her that I forgive her and that I love her. Still to this day, I do love my mom. I do love my dad. But I realized all that toxicity that I was around, it taught me how to accept it. So I was in this phase of acceptance more so than deliverance and being healed from it. I was just accepting it. So I grew into learning how to take it off of people that I got into relationships with. And I felt like because I had my own abandonment issues, I felt like I couldn't let go of certain people when I sense things that, they need help, or I can't give up on them, or they need somebody to be there for them and not just. But then when I realized that people were counting on me to think like that and be like that, it hurt me even more, because I'm like, instead of counting on it, why can't you just appreciate it? And then when I dive deeper into my spirituality, I realized that a lot of people are just dealing with the same, unhealed wounds and trauma bonding and triggers that I dealt with as well. But the difference is I chose to really be in a place of isolating myself from everybody. And I was in this place and I went over every single thing that a person ever did to hurt me. Every single thing that I did that I took off of people, or things that I did to hurt myself, to sabotage myself. And when I got to that point, I remember hurting so bad because the most recent situation after my last abortion, I was dealing with that. I was dealing with issues with my finances. I felt like my parents were just looking at me like I would come home and things would just people would throw low blows, and at times I didn't understand where it was coming from when I wasn't saying anything, or maybe I came and I tried to come from a place of love. And it really was at an all-time high when I started my YouTube, and people were telling me like, "Oh, you should stop." And it was those that were closest to me, that it was like, instead of looking at the positive impact that it's having on people, you trying to tell me to stop it. And then it would lead to something completely different where I was being called names. And it really hurt me because I just didn't understand it. And I look back and I said, I never had a real friend. And I don't understand. Like, everybody else can make friends. Everyone else, so what's wrong with me? What is wrong with me? I know I'm a good person. I'm not saying that you got to be friends with somebody because they nice. But, I got my moments. I got my ways too. But for the most part, I'm an easygoing person. You know what I'm saying? And it's just, everybody did something to either hurt me, betray me. And it all came out. And when I was all faced with that all at once, I had to sit there and I had to really think about it. I had to really figure out and focus on how I was going to heal. Because I knew that if I wanted better for myself and I wanted to attract better people in my life, it first starts with me and how I view myself. I wasn't viewing myself properly because of how people was making me feel. And my grandma used to always tell me, the day that you get delivered from people is the day that you're truly free. When I didn't care no more about what people was going to say, because I felt like when I cared, something still was being said. When I didn't care about being accepted, because I felt like when I cared, I still really wasn't being accepted, because people be fake to my face and then go behind my back and spread my business, or try to talk to people that I knew, that I dated, or try to do little stuff. It just didn't make no sense to me. And when I didn't care no more, when I didn't care, it broke something and it lifted something up off of me. And I remember hurting so bad. And I was in my house and I felt like my mom and dad, I needed them to be there for me more, and they was just leaving me in the house by myself. They'd just go. I didn't really want to go out the house. And I remember one night when they was out, I broke. And I remember getting down and I cried out and I said, God, if you real, I said, if you real and you are who you say you are, and all these things that people taught me growing up about you and what I read, I said, if you real and you hear my cries, I need you to work a miracle in my life. If you real, like you say you are, I need you to show up in my life. If you want me to keep pushing, I need you to show me something. I remember saying that when I got down on my knees and I broke. That was the day I broke. I was there by myself. I broke. I felt embarrassed. I felt like a failure. I felt wasn't happy with the decisions I made. I was really hurt by people's actions. And when I faced it, it wasn't easy. But when I faced it, I called out on God. I called out to him. And I told him that I needed him. Because I can't do it no more. And I cried out and I said, I surrender. I don't want to be broke no more. I don't want to hurt no more. I don't want no more fake people in my life. I'm done. This is not how I envisioned my life ending up, this is not where I wanted to be at this stage in my life. And I apologize. I ask for forgiveness of any sins I've committed against others. I ask for forgiveness. I want to heal. And if you're real like you say you are, I need you to show up in my life. Because I'm about to give up, for real. And crying was a healing tool for me. It allowed me to just really cry out everything that I was feeling. I wrote out letters to people who hurt me. I wrote out everything that they did to hurt me. And at the end, I signed it off and I said, I forgive you. I didn't address every single person, but I did address my mother. And I told her the things that she said was just really out there, and I don't know, and I know I didn't do anything, and she came open about how no one in the family know how to love right. They don't know how to be loving and stuff like that, and you got to protect yourself. And she said the things that she was battling with. So it gave me more insight and clarity as to why she was the way that she was, so I wouldn't keep being angry or upset. I just forgave, and I started praying for her, and I started praying for everyone in my family. But I just realized at this stage in my life, whether people know that I know or not, I'm not in that space to sit up here and try to tell you how you should treat me. If I know I never did anything to deserve any mistreatment or misjudgment from you, you're simply just going to get cut out my life. Because life is too short. It's too many things that's going on in the world for me to be focused on foolishness and people who just can't do me right. Before I got to that stage, I really had to address the hurt. I really had to address the betrayals and the situations that got me in this mindset of thinking that I had to keep toxic people in my life. And it was really confusing when I experienced it from those in my family and closest to me, because it's like, how can I cut them off when they're so close to me and they grew up with me and all this? But then again, how can I keep them around me when they talk so bad and judged everything that I've ever done that was not right, as if I was supposed to be perfect, when no one is perfect. And even if they know that, it's still judgment was passed on me. So when I realized how just not right people was, and no one is going to tell me what I know and what I don't know, because I know how people was looking at me with their faces and stuff when I go around the functions and stuff like that. Just things that were said, whether they was joking or not. Attitudes that people had at certain times. I'm just not with it. I'm just not with it anymore. And so before I got to that stage, I really had to address the hurt. And the only way that I was able to address the hurt was really being in solitude, knowing and God, I was allowing God to talk to me and guide me through on what I had to do to heal. And even though you guys saw me almost have tears flow down from my eyes, those are really tears of, being of joy, of peace, of being able to overcome what I did, because that wasn't easy, what I went through. It's not tears of me crying it because, I'm healed. But at the same time, before I got to this stage, I had to address the hurt, so that those trauma bonds would get broken, those triggers would not be there anymore. And I started to really heal from that point and from that day forward. I went through so much in my life that I no longer cared about how people were going to view me or what's becoming of a woman, what a woman should say, how much you should, detail to people, because voicing it and speaking my truth was also another method to heal, because you can't talk about something if you still hurt about it, right? You're like, oh no, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to, you know. But when you're able to talk about it and you're able to guide other people through of what they can do to try to heal from their own hurts and wounds, that's when you know that you've healed. I knew that I had to really go deep down in a place within my soul to really forgive these people, even though they weren't deserving by their actions. I forgave, not for them, but for me, because I wanted to be happy again. I wanted real in my life. I knew that I wasn't going to be able to determine that, or what the next steps of what I should do of my life and where it should go, if I was still dwelling on this hurt and trying to figure out why it was done. I started looking at the positive in everything and saying, well, you know what? I learned lessons from this. I know what not to do next time. If I did backtrack, I know not to do that no more. You know, when a person show you who they are, you have to believe them. And several people showed me who they were, and me backing up. Several people showed me who they were. And for those who I didn't back up from and I forgave that are still in my life today, it's because at the end of the day, I only get one mom and one dad and one baby brother. I'm going to love them to the day I die. And as far as everyone else is concerned, I'll love people, but I'm going to love them from a distance, because I can't do the in and out. I know I'm not ready to really be around the fakeness. So until people can really voice it and be real about it, maybe later down the line. But for right now, I had to cut a lot of people out of my life. I had to block a lot of people out. And I had to move forward, and I had to do it unapologetically, because it wasn't about getting revenge or being petty. It was really at this stage that once I healed, I had to maintain and protect my peace. I had to protect my mindset. I had to protect everything that I fought so hard to build with God by my side, with Jesus by my side. I had to really fight to protect that, because I realized that how people will really do you if you don't set boundaries. They don't owe you anything. They don't have to respect you. They don't have to love you. They don't have to appreciate you. They don't have to think highly of you. Let people do whatever it is that they think that they're doing. Let them get away with whatever it is that they think that they're getting away with, and focus on you and doing what you have to do to heal, to maintain your peace, to maintain your stability, and to get yourself back on the right track. I was throwing my life in a black, bottomless pit, and I wasn't getting anything from it. And eventually I was ready to just throw myself down in that pit and just say, it's over, like whatever. When I cried out to God and I had acknowledged my part in it, but I tapped in it and I said, I'm going to acknowledge my part in accepting it, because I realized all the toxicity and the negativity that I accepted and kept in my life from so far back. And it just built and built up and built up. And I had to break those habits. I had to start really loving Victoria. I didn't love myself. I didn't know who I was. And I was around so many negative people that didn't make it any better. I knew I was different, though. I knew I was different. And so I really had to just protect myself and really just see things from a different perspective if I wanted my life to be different. I didn't care who was going to accept it, who was going to say what. If you can't accept a person's, the way I look at it, if you can't accept a person's deliverance, you can't accept a person's healing, you can't accept the person changing, it's something about you that's stuck, and it's something about you that's evil. Because I don't know any person that wants to keep holding on to the things that a person done in the past when they see all the good that a person have achieved. All it just started doing was opening my eyes up across the board, across all levels, to people who I encounter and people who I had in my life that I had to cut out. If your actions not lining up and your energy is off, you're not about to be around me. But before I got to this stage, a lot of people would tell you I was very, soft-spoken, lighthearted, all that type of stuff. I'm not, even though I'm still, like I said, I'm a nice person. I'm a no-nonsense when it comes to protecting what I have to protect, especially if you think you're about to play on my intelligence. But understand, before I became this woman that I am today, and speaking how I'm speaking today, I can't go in full detail about a lot of things, but just the generic overview of it is I experienced a lot of abuse in my childhood. I had love. I had some happy days. But I had some days that really, really affected me very bad. Very bad, that I never spoke on. Because I was trying to protect those that I loved. And that's where that started. Trying to protect people that I love. I swept a lot of things under the rug. And I thought, oh, well, that's normal. You know, that's normal to be treated like that. It's normal if a person, you know. I started taking it from people that I encountered in school. It went from that. It went family. And then it went, you know, work situations. I just kept my head down, and I took a lot of stuff until the last situation I went through. Like I said, from 2018 to about 2020, I broke, and I would not have been here. That is not healthy, to make excuses for people that hurt you like they don't care, and then try to flip it on you and say you're the reason. Take accountability. I was making excuses until my life was on the line. It was my life on the line. And God gave me a choice. You about to keep living for people who try to destroy you, who showed you they didn't care, took you for a joke? Or do you care about your life? Because if you care, I'm going to give you a chance to fight for it. And I fought to look at myself in the mirror and say that I'm beautiful, that I'm somebody. I fought to be happy. I can wake up. These are tears of joy. I want to just stress that again. I can wake up and be like, what I'm going to do today, I don't care. I don't care that a lot of people will say, oh, you should be married at this time. You should have kids at this time. A lot of people don't even know themselves in their own marriages. That's why it's a lot of divorces. I say, before I rush into anything, if it's meant for me, it'll be for me. I know I'm a good person. I know what I can bring to the table. I know I love hard. I know if a person let me in, you know, I want to be happy. It's that I got to protect myself. I can't go through what I went through before. And God gave me a chance to fight for my life. And so I'm just trying to tell a lot of people, man, you got to heal first. Don't focus on, stop trying to skip and run before you walk and you crawl. Like, you have to heal first. And a part of that is not making excuses and say, oh, so-and-so didn't do that. I'm just being, no, they did. That happened to you. And now you have to heal. And how you heal is addressing it, forgiving yourself, then forgiving these people, and then you pray to God for strength. Because depending on the level and the severity of what happened to you, some people do not make it through. But I know the people I'm talking to and that come across this video, you love yourself and you care. You want life. You want a new life. You want a new start. But you got to fight for that. Otherwise, you're going to keep getting in these same cycles, encountering these same people. You're never going to heal. And then like me, it's another thing. It's just going to be the straw that break the camel back. And God really had to be there for me to get me back to this stage. I don't take credit for anything. I don't take credit for my job. I don't take credit for my ministry, my YouTube. I don't take credit for my followers. I don't take credit for the money I have. I don't take credit for any of this. I only have it because of the grace of God. Because he saw me through. He evidently seen some of myself that I didn't see. And he gave me that chance and I ran with it. And I'll never look back. I'll never look back. I care for the people. I forgive the people because they served a purpose in my life. I learned from those lessons. I learned from that hurt. I grew from the pain. But sometimes you got to understand, you can love a person, you can forgive a person, don't mean you got to keep them in your life. You can love people from a distance and release them in love. That's also part of healing. Releasing those issues of abandonment, releasing those codependency, releasing those triggers, those trauma bonds, healing those wounds. It starts with you. In your solitude. And if you got to cut certain people off to save yourself, you do just that. But you do it the right way. It ain't what you do, it's how you do it. You release people in love and you pray for them. You don't hate them. Because that prevents the healing. You got to completely, from your soul, your mind, you got to completely release it. And you got to, a part of that, what helped me was once I addressed it, I wrote it down, I forgave, I cried. I couldn't be strong in that situation. It was nothing that I went through. I broke and I cried. I broke and I cried months in. And I found myself just doing this at night, just hugging myself like, I love you. I love you. I did whatever I had to do to get myself out of that rut. I did not love myself, especially when I went through what I went through. I really just was like, so I did things. I hugged myself. I told myself, I talked to myself. I said, I love you. I looked myself in the mirror. I said, I love you. Girl, you smart. Girl, you somebody. We don't need no friends, especially if they fake. We don't need nobody to think highly of us if they just can't do it. Whatever wrong with them, whatever with them, heal. And I'm going to forgive, because I realize a lot of people, man, project what they feel. When they don't love themselves and they see somebody trying to love themselves, they'll hate you for it. They'll talk about you. They'll do all this type of stuff. And I realized I was just around a lot of people that just were not healed and that really had something wrong with them. Like, for real. This ain't no, they just had a breakdown and whatever. No, there was something really wrong with them. And when I realized that, I got down on my knees and I said, if you real, show me who you are and work a miracle in my life. If you love me like you say you do, because I'm about to give up. It was like my last, prayer. I was like, do something. And I kept, when he showed me a sign, from that day forward, I fought every day until he really brought these blessings in my life. And I cried out to him and I surrendered. I knew I couldn't do this by myself. But he gave me the strength to carry on and persevere and make it here. So I just want to say, a part of what you have to do is get in your solitude. Address those situations and those peoples and things that happen to you. You don't have to always do it face to face. You can write it down. You could video it and look back at the video. You could talk like you're talking to the people and play the video back to yourself. Capture whatever emotions you was feeling in that stage. But address it. then forgive yourself, and then forgive these people. And then you really got to develop a prayer life about you that is just a real strict regimen. I'm talking about morning, noon, night, whatever works for you. Don't you skip a beat. Don't you miss a step. Because you realize you was going through some spiritual warfare because of some real evil, unhealed people. You didn't want to go down that route. You chose to heal. And this is how you do it. And you finish it off with understanding that you're going to love yourself better. You're going to go hard for you. You're going to be strong for you. You're going to walk. You're going to be happy. You're going to dance. You're going to do whatever you got to do for you. It's your life. You're not living for people. You're not living to have a whole slew of people around you. If you could find just 2 set of people, whether it's family, friends, whoever, 2 set of people that you know ride for you, that you know go hard for you, that you know got you, gonna pray for you, boy, they ain't gonna let you just give up on yourself. They gonna love you to the end. Come on, man, hold on to them people. And there's people out there that exist. The thing is, you can't let these situations that you're going through try to cloud your mind and your judgment. Like, oh, I'm never gonna do this. No, you have to heal so that this is right. Because when this is right, you're going to look at things differently. You're going to look at people differently. You're going to look at situations differently. When you're looking at things differently, you're going to feel differently about these things and about these people and about these situations. And you're going to think more clearer. You're going to move and make smarter moves. You get what I'm saying? Better moves is going to position you and set you up for life. That's how you do it, though. That's how you do it. Sometimes it takes us going through these things so that we may learn and grow from it. It ain't so that it stops and hinders our growth. It's to propel us and take us to the next level and help us grow and move smarter and better and wiser and stronger, healthier, in a peaceful, calm, loving space. That's what you have to start valuing. You value people too much than you value yourself. You value these situations and materialistic things more than you valued God. Now that you understand and now that you see things clearly, if you're still struggling with it, that's how you're going to come out of it. And until next time, I want you to stay prayed up and be blessed. And I want you to understand we ride together, we slide together. JC Gang for life. Get these messages out there. Bring more people to the JC Gang. Y'all know I come with that real, I don't come with that fake. I keep it 100. I keep it a buck with you. I hope this helps you. I love you. And until next time, stay prayed up and be blessed.